At the bottom of the screen, you'll see an icon that looks like a hand. If you have a question, click on that. It'll throw you in the lot into the queue, and you can ask Robert your question. So he's not going to really be teaching. So this session here is really just to answer any questions that you have. So with that, we're going to go ahead and get started. Anybody have a question? Just click on that icon. All righty, Mr. Randy, you are up. Go ahead.
Okay, I've got my microphone on. So I noticed I've been following you, and I noticed that there have been some changes with software and
yeah.
Is it good?
This seems so funny. I'm kind of like Kathy. If you just heard her talking, I'm a old school, not really a big computer person, so I'm having a problem adjusting over. They haven't cut me off on my Charles Schwab Street Smart Edge yet, so I'm playing with it a little bit, but I'm not all the way. I'm kind of using both of them. I'm not all the way in on the Thinkorswim yet, but I hear a lot of people say good things about it. But just like anything, when it's new and when it's changed, it can be kind of hard to adjust over to it. But I'm working on it.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah.
We'll learn together.
Yeah. I think I'm the type of person that I almost have to be cut off before I really dive into it. So as long as they keep letting me hang on to my Street Smart Edge, then I keep hanging on to my Street Smart Edge.
All right.
Cool. You have any other questions, Randy?
No, not at the moment.
Okay, cool.
All right. So at the bottom of the screen, you will see a hand icon. If y'all have any questions, click on that hand icon. It'll put you into the queue so we can pull you up and you can talk to Robert directly. This Q&A session is specifically for you all to ask questions.
Yes. And hello to everybody that I haven't spoke to already. Thank you guys for joining us.
Jim, you are up. Go ahead, ask a question.
Sure, thank you. What's the difference between a level 1 and level 2 trader?
Good question, Jim. I've been keeping up with you. I think you've been emailing me a lot here. So that's
yeah, we have a phone cons.
Yeah.
All on
schedule.
Yeah.
Schedule. A level 1 trader can only trade options, just straight calls and puts. Okay. And they can only buy them. Whereas a level 2 trader with, at least with Charles Schwab anyway, you can do spreads. You can do credit spreads. You can do debit spreads. You can do writing cover calls. You can do cash cover puts. Some of the other strategies you're able to do that you can't do in just level 1, And then if you get a level 3, you can do naked options, which I definitely don't recommend doing naked options, but that's mainly the difference.
Okay. And what's the criteria to become a level 2? How long does it usually take?
They ask you a couple of questions, maybe about, they ask you about your experience. They ask you how long you've been trading, how many trades you plan on doing, and stuff like that. And usually before Thinkorswim became with Charles Schwab, you could almost get it instantaneously. Charles Schwab was one of the more strict brokerage people, where it was a little bit harder to pass it. But part of the way you get through that is by using, if you don't have any experience with trading per se, you can use your time as far as like how long you've been in a 401k or something like that.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you.
Cool.
Any other questions? You'll see a little hand icon at the bottom center of the screen. Just click on that. It'll put you into the queue. We'll bring you up so that you can talk to Robert directly. If you have questions about day trading or investing in general, this is a great time to get your questions asked. Because otherwise, he charges $195 for a 1-hour telephone consultation. So take advantage. Ask your questions. Raven, go ahead.
Thank you. So just a quick question. As far as just investing in general, the reason I was looking into this is because I have a small amount of savings. I spent a bit to relocate down here, but I still have I think a decent amount of savings now.
Okay.
And I wanted to expand my options as far as just bringing in income. So I was wondering, just from your perspective, your opinion, if, for example, someone were to say, I don't know, for example, if you have maybe $5,000 or $6,000, let's say in savings,
Okay.
and you wanted to start to get into what you do, so day trading, what amount would you suggest would be a good starting point to get started in day trading, at least to start with?
Okay. When you first started out, first of all, what I would do is tell you to start with, and this is great on Thinkorswim because they have what they call a paper trading account. Okay. I would say start with them. And then the next thing you want to do is start with the smallest amount that you can. And I think you can start with $1,000. If not, definitely two. And I think 2,000 may be the minimum to get a margin account open, which is the level 2. But you can actually trade with 1,000. So I would say 1,000 once you get going.
Okay, yeah, that's definitely reasonable. I appreciate
Okay.
that. Thank you.
Uh-huh. And let me just say this right quick. And when you're trading with that 1,000, at least at the style that I'm trading, I would start you off very conservatively, and you won't be looking to make a lot of money up front. And even when you get going with me, all I'm trying to teach you how to do, guys, is make 10% a month. So it's not like we're going to be knocking the ball out of the park in the first place. But what you try to learn how to do is make consistent income and be disciplined and learn to cut your losses when you do have one. But the main thing is we want to trade and not get too greedy so we don't have them in the first place. And it's hard. It's easy to get greedy because you start seeing the wins pile up and how easy they can be. It make you want to be more aggressive. But if you can just stay with that, making those small amounts, man, it can be kind of nice. But yeah.
All right. Any other question, Raven?
Maybe one other question just popped in my head. So,
Okay.
as far as day trading goes now, and I'm someone I definitely understand, you don't want to get greedy, start slow, start small, get your feet wet, all that.
Mm-hmm.
And but I wonder, as far just so I can kind of, I guess in my head, I'm thinking, kind of putting everything as far as income coming in.
Mm-hmm.
I'm kind of putting everything on a list of what's going to be more substantial, what's going to be less, and all of it adds up, of course. So it's not like a matter of importance, but just what is going to bring the most money.
Okay.
And I'm wondering, like, as far as day trading goes, would you, and it may depend, but would you consider it something that if someone was just getting into it, would you advise them that it could be something that may be in the form of a side hustle or just extra income or something that could actually be something you could do full time, if that makes sense?
If you just now getting into it, and let's say you've been into it for maybe 6 months or so, I would say it's a side income. Because let's say you get into it, you really get going, and you're trading with about 10 grand. If you're making 10% a month on that, that's only $1,000 a month.
True, that does make sense. I mean,
Okay.
$1,000 would be awesome, but that's
Yeah.
that's a big starting point.
In Mexico, $1,000 is probably enough to pay, depending on where you're living, but that's enough to pay your rent anyway, or probably, or close to it.
Absolutely, and then some, for sure.
Yeah. Cool. You have
Thank
anything
you.
else?
Not at the moment, but if it
Okay.
comes up, I'll put my hand back up. But thank you so
Okay.
much.
Sounds good. All righty.
All righty. So we got about 45 minutes left with the Q&A. So if you have questions, go ahead and click the hand icon at the bottom of the screen. What are you about to say, Robert?
Let me just say this right quick. I say an hour, but it's about an hour. So if we go a little over because we have plenty of questions, I'm not just hard on an hour. I just can't go like you. You know, you go like 3 hours.
Oh, wow.
I can't do that one.
Oh, I understand. I understand.
So I'm here as long as we have stuff coming in.
Okay, perfect. Perfect. All right, you up, Jim. Go ahead, ask your question.
Thank you. With the free money trade, I believe in some of your previous videos you mentioned it's fairly typical to have 5 orders fill per month. Is that fairly common?
That's true.
What kind of percentage are you looking at if 5 orders were to fill per month?
For me, based on my commission rate, I'm making about 8.3%. I'm sorry, not 8.3, 0.83. So it's not even 1%. Okay. And this is why I call it free money, because the way that I'm trading is called a credit spread, right? And what you're doing is you're trying to be just out of the reach of where you think the market is going to go. So if this hand, my right hand here, is the market, I'm putting my position right here where my left hand is, and I'm just trying to make sure that the market don't get to me. And some days it want to come up real close, and some days it's way back here and never reach me. Okay, but to be this far away from it, you're taking a small amount, and that small amount, if you make it about 0.8% a day, so you're probably going to have to do about 6 of them to get about a 5% a month.
Okay,
roughly. Okay.
And is that pretty common, the 6?
Yeah, this trade doesn't feel every day, but on a monthly basis, it feels somewhere between about 5 to about 9 times.
Okay.
The last 2 months, I had 9 times.
So that would be a great starting strategy as we're taking your course.
It's a great starting strategy. In fact, right now, because I'm dealing with my house being built and I'm doing a lot of not staying home and getting out, it's just about the only thing that I'm doing right now, because it gives me a lot of freedom. And I'm loving that freedom, by the way.
I bet you are. we all love our freedom.
Yes.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate that.
If y'all have questions, click that hand icon, and you can click it in advance. It'll throw you into the queue, and we'll just go straight down the queue and pull you up. Go ahead, Devon.
Hey, how y'all doing?
Hey, Devon, how you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. This would be like the total beginning for me, so I would have to learn everything from scratch. But just the question that came off top of my mind: how many hours do you sit in front of the computer when trading a day?
Man, some days it just depends on how the market is moving that day. Some days it may be 2 hours. Some days I could be in front of the computer the whole day. It just depends on how the market is moving and what type of trade I'm doing. But here lately, with these, you heard it mentioned earlier, my free money trade, I get in that trade first thing as soon as the market opened, most of the time within the first half hour. And it's been so far away from it until I just have my phone by me and I'm keeping an eye on where the market is, but I'm out and about in my car and going and check on the contractors over there and see what they're doing, and all that cooking in the kitchen, going to the grocery store, walking,
But you still have so through your mobile, you can still have access to like seeing what's going on and monitoring.
You can still have it. And with Thinkorswim, and this is why I can't knock Thinkorswim, okay, even though I'm having a hard time getting it. They have a mobile app that I hear is really, really good. I hear some of my students talk about it. So it can really allow you to have some flexibility.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. I'm looking forward to some updates on that house. I've been watching your channel as well.
Okay, thank you.
Raven, you up.
So I had two questions, pretty short. Well, first might be a little long, but the first question I had, thank you, is how did you, I guess, become aware of day trading? Like, what was your story as far as how you first got into it? That's the first
Uh,
one.
okay. First, I'm gonna try to give you a quick deal of it, but you ought to listen to some of my beginning videos on YouTube. Okay, way back in 94, 95, somewhere in there. I heard this guy on AM radio, and he was talking about Wall Street Money Machine. And he said, you know, if you want to know more about it, listen to him. He'll send you a free cassette tape. So you know how long ago that was. So I called him up and they sent me this cassette tape, and then they had a 90-minute seminar that ended up lasting 2 hours. And it just sounded like a lot of stuff that I wish that I could do. And from there, I would, you know, let me tell you how slow I am as far as computer knowledge go and how far back this was. I didn't really know anything about stocks. And the only way that I knew how to look up the price of the stock was in the Investor's Business Daily. And the only place that I knew to get an Investor's Business Daily, boy, this sounds so ignorant. But the only place I knew to get the Investor's Business Daily was from the airport, from traveling. You know how you see the newspaper stands? I didn't know you could just go in a bookstore and get it from the bookstore. So when I would get off of work, I'm from the Dallas area, so I would drive to DFW Airport and go in there and get me an Investor's Business Daily, so I would have one for that. I can't remember if they was weekly or daily papers, but to get that paper. So that radio deal is how I got interested in trading the market.
Okay, that's interesting. So, the other question I had, let me see.
Uh-huh.
Oh, as far as the platforms that you use or you recommend, now is Charles Schwab kind of the one that you typically recommend, or are there some others?
Okay, you could use anyone you want to, but if you're new, what I used to tell people is I use Charles Schwab as kind of like my workbook. So if you're new, not only are you learning about trading, you're also learning about how to navigate the broker's website. But now that they're changing to Thinkorswim, I'm gonna be learning that website along with the students, you know. But the good news is they will talk you through. You can call them up and they can walk you through all the steps that you want to go through. But it's such a busy website until it's really difficult to understand. One of the good things is that with a lot of trades that I'm doing, you can put them on the basic Charles Schwab trading deal online. So, and then if you want to, you can monitor it through that as you're trying to learn through Thinkorswim.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you so much.
Uh-huh. And then the other thing is I will eventually learn Thinkorswim. And then when I do, I will bring that knowledge on to my students as well.
Thank you, Raven. Kim Haley, you're up next.
Thank you very much. Mr. Ross, I just have been looking at your videos on YouTube probably for a week. And then I looked up and looked at the videos with Mr. Ferrell, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is so wonderful. I have been wanting to day trade for several months now. And so, Mr. Ferrell, I'm definitely going to go through your process and go through your classes. Since I'm brand new and I've just had a very cursory look at your information, what can you please tell me, your format of your teaching, your classes, and also I have Fidelity for my accounts, quite a large amount of money, and they have a great, from what I understand, day trading
platform.
Yes, and I'm wondering if you're familiar with that.
I don't know anything about how their platform works, but if you're familiar with the platform, you know that any platform can work for you. It's just what you're familiar with. Wait a minute. What did you ask me before that? I forgot again.
I have only had a cursory look at your website, and I'm definitely going to sign up for your classes. And just please tell me what that all entails.
Okay. I go through. I'm gonna say I have about 5 main strategies that I like. Okay, that I do. One of them is credit spreads, and it's a different types of credit spreads that I do. And then I do the earned butterflies, writing covered calls. I don't know if you've heard of these or not, but writing covered calls and selling cash covered puts. I'm trying to think here. The compound collar, and then you know, if you want to just keep it simple, dollar cost averaging. Okay. And the thing that I do this on is, you know, with a lot of people, they trying to teach you how to trade stocks on a lot of different stocks. Okay. I try to keep it simple because I'm a simple person. Okay. And I don't want a lot of clutter. So what I teach you how to do is to trade on one stock. And that one stock is really not one stock. It's 500 stocks because it's the S&P 500, which is like a basket of stocks, but they're traded as one. And just, it gives you enough movement where you can make money in any direction on it. If you want to play it directional, if you don't want to play it directional, it gives you all the movement you need every day. Okay. So when you simplify it to where you don't have to watch 10 stocks or have 10 stocks on your trading list or 20 stocks on your trading list, you can dedicate more time to learning a strategy, okay, and not trying to learn the individual stock. And then another thing about the S&P 500 is you don't have to worry about a particular news coming out about one company that will allow this company to, hey, either sink or pop, okay? Because in some strategies, you don't want the stock to go up. Some strategies you want it to go down. And in some strategies, you want it to, you know, kind of go sideways. One of the things that I teach in slow life trading that a lot of people are not familiar with is we all know that you can make money when the stock goes up. Everybody knows that, okay? And then there's a few of us know that you can make money if the stock goes down, okay? But there's very few people that know you can make money on a stock if it just make a straight line going sideways, okay? That right there is a really big deal. And then here's the other one that's really the trick. In one particular day, if you have a stock that's just doing this right here, going up, then going down, then going up, and then going down, then going sideways a little bit, then going up, and then go down. People will say, how am I supposed to make money on that? It won't even pick a direction. Well, with some of the strategies that we're doing, we actually absolutely love the stock to do that. So, and once you learn how to see how that happens, it's like, wow. It's kind of amazing to you that you can do that. So that's what I'm teaching in the class, a way to, you know, dumb it down or simplify it. I hate to say dumb it down, but let's say simplify it to make it where anybody can understand it, and just a way to incorporate some of these strategies into your life where, you know, you can make money. But let me just give you an example right here. With covered calls, okay, writing covered calls and cash covered. Let's just talk about writing covered calls. This is a strategy that Warren Buffett uses, okay? And it's such a simple strategy because we all have stock, a lot of us. We just own the stock and we just sitting there holding it. And the only way we make money on it is either we get a dividend from it or the stock goes up. Well, with cash covered calls, you can take an option and sell it against your stock. And what you can do is, instead of just sitting there not making anything because the stock won't move, you can start generating income on that stock. And you can start doing that almost instantly. The downside is you got to have at least 100 shares of that stock. Okay. But stuff like that is what I'm teaching. That's all. That's kind of what I'm talking about. And I do it twice a month on Thursdays. If you central, it's central time, it would be from 7 till 9. And the first 90 minutes, I'm usually teaching or talking. And then the last 30 minutes, and sometimes it's 20 minutes, and sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's 2.5 hours before we get to it. But we take 30 minutes of question and answers. Okay. And when you sign up with the class, I give you a free consultation, because sometimes you just need a little bit more hand holding to break it down a little bit when you're first starting out. But in general, that's what I cover.
Thank you so very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Jim, you're up next.
Thank you. When you look at entry points for entering one of your trades, do you ever use candle patterns or the anatomy of the candle to figure out when the best entry point is?
Yeah, some.
Okay.
But when you're playing, for instance, they call it a non-directional strategy, which means you kind of not really caring about which way it go.
Okay.
You're not as interested in a certain point to get in.
I like that.
You're still interested in a little bit. Don't get me wrong. You're still interested in a little bit, but not as interested. For instance, when I'm doing my free money trade, the only way that it's gonna feel is if you put one on top and you put one on bottom. But the only way that this stock is gonna feel is you're gonna have to get some movement one way or the other. It can't just, the market can't just open and it sit at $1. You know what I mean? It has to move some, either up or down, because we'll take either side. But not necessarily a entry point.
Okay.
Cool. Thank you. Anything else? Jim?
Sorry, no, thank you.
Okay, all right. Thank you.
All right, we have one question in the comments section from a Carmel. They asked, please describe your course. As a person who would be new to day trading, I don't know what to expect. Thank you.
Okay. If you're new to day trading, first thing you have to understand is what a stock is. Okay. And then you learn the stock is just like owning shares in a company. And then you learn that, like I was saying earlier, with the way that I'm trading, you're trading the 500 largest companies in the United States. Okay. And it's actually a little bit over 500, but we trade them. Okay. To say 500 companies, that can sound kind of intimidating, but we trade them all as one because it's the S&P 500, which is a basket of 500 stocks all in one and traded as one. Okay, so that's what we trade. But then we trade options on it. And what an option is kind of like for instance, if you went to the racetrack for a horse races or something, right? And you had a particular horse there on the track. You could participate in that horse winning that race, but you're not the owner of that horse. The way you can participate in it is by placing a bet for that horse to win or lose or whatever the kind of situation they have for their horse to do. But you have to place a bet on that horse. Well, with options, what you pretty much are doing is it's allowing you to place a bet on the S&P 500. Okay, so you're not actually buying the S&P 500. You're placing an option either against or for the S&P 500. Okay, and those options are called calls and puts. It's the only two type of options you can get. But with those two types of options, we have multiple types of strategies that we either use one of them or both of them combined together. And I'm teaching you how to trade where you can trade where you can just learn how to make money from this one thing, this S&P 500, and you learn that you don't have to try to know each and every company out there, okay? Because all those big companies that we all know, you know, Apple, Facebook, Home Depot, Sears, Walmart, Lowe's, all of them that are big are in this group. Okay. And here's one other thing I'm going to explain to you guys. Nobody can tell you this. Nobody can. Okay. But if you put your money into the S&P 500, and you can, okay, you can invest your money into the S&P 500. You're very diversified, and you're diversified for as multiple types of multiple type of companies, and you're diversified all over the United States, and you're diversified a lot of times all over the world. Okay. The only way these companies fail in the S&P 500 pretty much is if the United States fail. Okay. From time to time, you will have a company inside of the S&P 500 that get kicked out. Okay. And that's part of what makes the S&P 500 such a good vehicle to invest in. The reason why they get kicked out is because they don't meet the criteria of what it takes to be in the S&P 500. So they'll kick that company out, and then they'll put another one in that is qualified. So when you invest in the S&P 500, I'm just talking your 401k or whatever it may be, just regular dollar cost averaging, putting your money in the 401k. This is the part nobody will tell you. It's almost impossible to lose if you stay in it long term, and you got to ride the waves of the up and down. What people don't realize is when you buy a house, you're riding the wave of going up and down anyway. You're just not worried about it because you're living in the house most of the time, and you don't see the value going up and down as much. It's the same thing with a stock, except for you see it because they're sending you out these quarterly reports and saying you're losing this much money or you're making this much money. Okay. But the S&P 500 usually goes up and down, but usually it's going up and down, going up. There are times in the year when it will go down. Okay. And there are years where it will go down. But if you stay in it long enough, it usually comes back because it's built to come back. It's the biggest, the baddest, the best companies in the United States. Anyway.
His follow-up question to that, how much money should we prepare to invest as we learn?
Another person asked this, pretty much how much you start. I say when you're first starting out, you start out on paper, then you start out, with, I'm going to say roughly $1,000. As your comfort level goes up, you add more money, and you're growing it as you're adding more money too. So you grow it two ways, and you just keep leveling up to your comfort level.
Awesome. Okay, Kathy, you're next.
Okay, Robert. So I've been in your class for a while.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is this: how do you tame the greed monster?
Kathy, when you figure that out, tell me, because I don't know how to tell you that. But part of what's helping me right now is the fact that I don't want to spend a lot of time behind the computer, and I want to get out and go watch my house being built. But when I'm sitting at home bored, it's not easy. That's all I can tell you. I don't know how to tame it. I wish I did. It's a monster. Yeah. I used to tell people this a lot of time in the class. On this shoulder, you got a little greedy angel. And on this show, you got a little scared angel. What did I used to call them? Greed and fear. Okay. When you get fear, that's probably not good because now you're too afraid to trade. And then when you get greed, that's not good because now you're putting too much money in to trade. It's a balance somewhere in the middle. Okay. How you get it, I don't know. But if you do ever get it, please tell me.
Thank you.
All righty.
Thank you.
Sorry,
Randy,
Kat.
You up next, Randy.
Okay. So there's two types of trading accounts, margin and cash, right?
Yes. You have margin in cash.
And I know when you're trading margin, well, when you're new, you have to get up to this level of what, $23,000 or something like that until you have limitations.
Okay. Go ahead. Did that the finish of your question, or you want to?
Well, the finish is should I have a cash account until I get up to that level, or just go to margin?
No. You want to have a margin account because if I got this right, I don't think you can do spreads without a margin account. Okay. But you can have a margin account and still trade cash. But what you're talking about is what they call the PDT rule, which is a pattern day trading rule. If you're under $25,000, you can only make 3 trades every 5 days. Okay. Okay. We have a way of getting around that, and this is how we get around it. When you're doing this free money trade, remember I told you you want to be so far that the stock never gets to you?
Right.
Okay. If the stock never gets to you, because we're selling this thing, let me tell you about options first. Options are a time-wasting asset. Okay. You know how they say don't buy a car because it doesn't hold its value, buy real estate because it holds its value? Well, with options, they do not hold their value. They are a time-wasting asset, and it will expire. And then once it expires, it goes to zero. Okay.
Okay.
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to buy these stocks, and we're not buy them. I'm sorry. We're trying to sell these options, and then we want them to go to zero. Well, remember I said you only have 3 trades every 5 days? Well, if you traded this free money strategy 5 days in a week, but you would get in it, you would sell it to get in it, and then you let it expire worthless, that's not considered a trade. A trade is only when you do both sides, when you buy and sell or sell and buy. If you only sell and it expires and you don't exit and get out of it, then that's not considered a trade. So if you do that, say 2 times a week and let it expire worthless, and you, for some reason, you exited the trade the other 3 times a week, the next week you still have your 3 trades again.
Okay.
So that's how we get around it.
Got it. Nice.
Yeah. Did you have any other question?
I don't. Thank you.
Thank you, Randy.
Jim, you're up next.
Excuse me.
Thank you. Do you have a particular time of day that you like to trade? I've seen other traders that they say they only trade like from 9 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. I'm just curious if you have any kind of preference like that.
Yes and no. Let me tell you why. When I'm getting in the free money trade, the best time to get in it is first thing in the morning. And why? Because the first thing in the morning, you have more time. Remember, these are time-wasting options that the way we're selling. We're trying to pretty much sell time. So you have the most time early in the morning. So whenever you have the most time, that's when the option is worth the most. So you want to get in at that point, and what I do is just let it melt away the whole day. And then there are other times, based on the conditions of the market, I may get in every day for the most part, right around 9 o'clock Central Time. There is some type of news coming out. Sometime. I don't care if it's the jobs report or the unemployment report or the Fed is talking to Congress or something. Something is usually coming out. Okay. Well, when the VIX is high, and this is getting kind of deep, so it's kind of, but when the VIX is high, after that news come out, the market kind of settles down a little bit. I like to get in sometime right around that 9:30 or whatever. This is a good example of what I'm saying. You know, a long time ago, my mom used to make these pancakes, right? And she would put this icing on the cake. Well, if you would eat this cake soon as she put the icing on there, and the cake would be good, okay? And then you would have icing on top. But if you waited until this cake absorb that icing and let it just kind of melt all through the cake. And then you eat the cake. That cake is extra good because the icing was kind of like a clear glaze icing. It would go all inside the cake. So when I wait till about 9:30, if the news come out about 9 o'clock and I wait till about 9:30, what I'm doing is giving the market a chance to absorb all of that news. And when that happens, you're betterly able to predict which direction the market is going to go in.
Okay.
Okay.
So it's the psychology of the market.
Yes.
Okay.
So once that news comes out and you find out which way the market is going, then I kind of like to get in. Now that works better when the volatility is higher.
That makes sense. Yeah.
When the volatility is lower, then sometimes it can play tricks with you. It's not as clear.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great questions, everybody.
Yes.
At the bottom of the screen, you'll see a hand icon. If you have a question, click on that. We'll add you to the queue where you can talk to Robert directly and get your question answered. So you'll see a little hand icon. Just click on that and it'll bring you up to the top so you can talk to Robert directly. While waiting on that, somebody put a question in the comments, and you kind of already addressed this, but what are the details of the training course? For example, cost, days, length of the program, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, good question, guys. The cost of the program is $3,600, okay? But it's one cost. That's it. I don't try to. Okay, let me go back a little bit. When I first got into this, I was explaining earlier, I signed up for the course and they was telling me that as soon as you get in the course, we're going to teach you you're going to learn all this stuff, on day one. Well, as soon as I actually went to the course, they started immediately trying to sell me another course. Okay. And I'm like, wait a minute. You just told me when I signed up that course that you just sold me back, a month ago was all I needed. And I was going to learn that. I haven't even learned that. And now you're trying to sell me another course. Well, with slow life trading, guys, once you're in, you're in. I'm not trying to upsell you anything. It doesn't expire. You're in it as long as I'm in it. And I'm planning on being in it for a while. So it's $3,600. It's 2 classes a month on the 2nd Thursday and the 4th Thursday. You got unlimited access to email me with any questions that you have. And you also get included a 1 hour, sometimes it's more, 1 hour one-on-one to ask me personally any questions you want to. Sometimes during the classes, I give homework and you email me that homework and then I grade it. And sometimes we'll discuss that in the course. And then sometimes we don't have homework and we discuss the previous class in the course. But at any point in time, if you have any questions, you can always email me or ask them in the next class. That's kind of what the course is all about.
Also, I put a link in the comment section, so if you all can click on that and see all the details, the course syllabus and the outlines. That's available. That's on the page. And at the end of this virtual meeting, we'll send out a link in the email to you so you can go directly to the page as well. If you have questions, go ahead and again, click on the hand icon in the center of the screen. We'll bring you up to the queue to ask a question. As I mentioned earlier, Robert charges $195 for a 1 hour telephone consultation. So this is your opportunity to ask a question and get some advice for free and save yourself $195. So hit the hand icon and feel free to ask your question. I noticed you about to say something, Robert?
Go ahead.
I noticed I see a couple of your students in the preview panel here. If any of you are, I know I'm putting y'all on the spot. If any of y'all like to hop on and just kind of share your experience about his program, feel free to jump on and just kind of share your experience. Many of the people here are nervous about joining programs. So if y'all have any feedback, just kind of tell them, you know, what your experience has been like.
While y'all thinking, let me just say this right quick. What was I getting ready to say? Once you learn what you can do with your money, and you got to get control of your emotion and your, like the Kathy was saying earlier, that greed factor and that fear factor too as well. But once you learn how you can generate this money, some days, guys, it's gonna seem like, is this real? Okay, can I now? I'm not saying it because it'll be so much. Okay, what I am saying is because it's like, will they let you do this? You know, I remember my wife told me one time, she said, "Is this legal?" And I told her, I said, "Well, it was legal when I was losing, so it's got to be legal when I'm winning." So it is legal, but if you think about this right here, guys, the bank is paying people. If you really look, you might can get 5% a year on your money. Okay. If you learn to make 5% a month, and I'm just talking about the free money trade, for instance, if you learn to make 5% a month, okay, do you realize that's 60% a year? So it don't seem like a lot when you're only making 0.8% in that one day. But I call it free money for a reason. The free money trade is because the hardest part you got to do to this thing is put it on and then wait. Now, sad part is a lot of time you got to wait the whole day. Okay. But hey, wait. Wait the whole day. Because and I'm not even talking about compounding the money. You know, compounding is when you take the growth and you start making money on the growth. I'm not even talking about that. I'm just talking about taking the same amount of money and making 5% on it a month. That's 60% a year. Okay. So, and we learn to do stuff like use the money against itself, which sounds kind of weird to do, but it's a way you can do it. But anyway, I think one of the guys wanted to say something about some people sharing their success stories. It's hard to describe people's success stories because they always sending me emails, but for some reason now I can't pull them up in my head.
Well,
but,
here's Robert.
Let me let Robert go.
Go ahead, Roberto.
Hey, how you doing?
Hey, Rob.
So you want a student to hop on and talk about our experiences and stuff. I mean, so far it's been a great experience for me. So I moved from trading the S&P to trading the because you teach so many strategies. I ended up trading the compound collar starting in September of last year, and of course I got into Shopify and also on Roku, and in that, I believe it was about 3 months, 4 months, my return for that was about 25%. And the great thing about it is that the strategies that Robert teaches are so catered to your style of, like, I have a very low risk tolerance. Like, I really don't like risky. The great thing about that compound collar for me was that on the downside, there was a reduction in the amount of loss if the stock ever went down. And then on the upside, you always felt great when it was actually, I felt better of it when it would go down because I was able to take in cash and buy more stock. So it's one of those things where it's like, it really, really does work. You know, you work the strategy. He teaches the strategies and you work the strategy that fits your style of trading. Now that free money trade, that's something I haven't gotten into yet, but it's one thing that I'm gonna start doing because I see how the risk is very, very much mitigated to the point where I mean, I've been there just full disclosure, I live in Merida, and I've been there where, I'm hanging out with Robert, and he's got a trade on, and he's not even worried about it, because it's so far away. He even we kind of have a little joke now that because he does a hand motion, he said, "Ain't gonna worry about it."
I ain't worried about that.
I ain't gonna worry about that. And that's the way he trades, So it's definitely when he calls it a free money trade, it really is a free money trade.
And you've done a couple of them, Rob. You just stopped.
I did a couple of them, and then, yes, I did stop because then I had to learn Salesforce. So I got into a Salesforce course because I wanted to do a remote work. So even though trading has worked for me, I still am a creature of habit, and I still like having that weekly paycheck. Call me crazy, but so to have the paycheck as well as and to use that for my trading and for my wealth building as well is one of those things that is good for me. Some people love to live freely and not worry about money, and you can definitely do that through learning these trading strategies. But at the end of the day, I like that, but also for whatever reason, I still do like a weekly paycheck. So, but that's been my experience with Robert's class. And now you'll probably go in, and I'll tell you right now, you probably have some information overload is the way it feels like, because keep in mind that every class that he's ever done is there. So you're going to have about 2 years worth of classes, bi-weekly classes. But he also tells you, okay, concentrate on these classes just to learn. And the first few classes are all about learning how to trade and what you're trading and how a stock works and how a call and a put option and how options work. So don't feel overwhelmed. And when you do, just know that Robert's been in your shoes. He's been in those classes where he, got fed through a fire hose, as we call it, all this information, and felt overwhelmed. So he knows when you feel overwhelmed and you're able to send him that email, he knows how you feel, because I felt that same way. And there's never been a time where I haven't asked a question that he hasn't answered it. And he gets back to you and lets you know. And then on top of that, once the great thing about it is that you're gonna, go through some of those courses, and you kind of want to have an idea before you take that one-on-one call. You want to have an idea of, what it is that, he's teaching you, so you'll know exactly what questions to ask. So take advantage of that call for sure.
Roberto, somebody asked, how much did you know about day trading before you started?
I had been doing trading, but there was always that, because of my risk tolerance, there was always that fear. So I would start it and stop it and start and stop it. And what the compound color did for me was that it took, a lot of that fear out of it, because like I said, so the compound color way it works is you make money, you take in cash when the stock goes down, because of the way that Robert has taught us to set it up, is like you actually make money as it goes down. And then you take that money that you build up and you're able to buy more shares with it. So your dollar cost averaging, you're building up more shares, and then you have that hope that it's going to pop back up, which that's exactly what it did for me. And just to give you an idea, like I said, I have a very low risk tolerance. My stock value, my account value had dropped about almost 15%, which most of the time will knock you out of your stock, because you get so scared of the loss that you're going to take the loss and just get out. Because I was taking in cash as it was going down, I was able to stay in it. And so then during the holidays, when Shopify shot up and Roku shot up because of sales and everything else, my stock value was even higher than when I started. So
And you had more shares of
I
stock.
had more shares. So, but again, I mean, so how much did I know? I had some inclination of it, and I think a lot of people have some idea of what a call is and a put is and options, and you've heard it, but you really don't want to get into it just because of that fear of I mean, for me, $100 loss is a big loss for me, and it's and I've got a sizable account, like it's a pretty good size account, but that's just who I am. That's my risk. I just I've got that risk tolerance set for me, and the fact that the compound color can do that for me, or that even the free money trade is able to do that for me and relieve me of that stress, that's a great thing for me.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rob. I want to just tell you guys that Robert is very modest, but Robert is a doctor. Okay. So well, just put that in there with it.
Jerry wrote a question in the comments. Can you automate the trades so that we can lock in our profits when the trade conditions begin favorable?
Hey, Robert, answer that.
Yeah, go ahead, Robert. You can answer that.
So with Street Smart Edge, unfortunately, it doesn't allow you to automate it. But with Thinkorswim, I've been able to automate it. So I put in when I put in my trade, I'm able to set already a stop loss and also set a take profit. So to answer that question, with Thinkorswim, unfortunately, it doesn't really have that. And Robert has called and I've called to try to figure out, is there any way that we can do that? And they've always told us that there isn't.
Charles
Schwab, yeah. Well, yeah. So the Street Smart Edge program won't let you do it, but Thinkorswim will let you do it.
Someone asked, is the free money trade automated?
No, it's not automated. You have to put it on. Well, it's kind of automated, but it's kind of not too. I know I've answered a lot of questions starting out saying that, but man, is it automated?
The entry is automated because you set it up that night before, remember?
Yeah, but if it moves big, I take it off and put it on manually.
Right.
So most of the time it can be automated, but sometimes if say for instance, I don't know if you keep up with the stock market. The S&P 500, sometimes it'll open flat. It may be only up $5 or down $5. But then there are other times where it can open up 30 points up or 25 points down or something like that. Where if it opens up flat, I have the trade on the night before. If it feels, it feels, okay? But if it opens up and it's a big gap open, then I cancel my trade before the market opens, and then I put it on manually once the market opens. And then from that point, you can set up your stop with Thinkorswim, or you just let it expire worthless. I hope that helps.
Okay, Kathy, you're up next.
I just want to say that I don't want to sound like a commercial for Robert, but just yesterday, I mean, I've taken the class on and off for about 2 years. I had to jump out, but then I jumped back in because, it really is a great learning tool. Yesterday, Robert helped me out. We were on a Zoom call for about an hour because I had questions from the class, and he took the time to break it down. And it's like, oh my goodness, I see what you're saying right now. But the thing for me when I first started a couple of years ago, Robert's method is go slow, go slow. And I said, okay, fine, I'm going to go slow. I'm going to do at least 100 paper trades before I go live. That's what I'm going to do. And that was the goal. But the information that I was getting from the class and what I was seeing during my paper trade was I was making money. So I went live. Like after maybe I paper traded for a month, and I decided to go live. And this one particular week that I went live, The first day I made like $1,000. The next day I made like $1,300. The next day I made another $1,000. I'm like, Robert, I'm cleaning up here. This is great. And he says, Kathy, how many, what's your quantity? And I said, I'm getting like 10. I'm buying 10 contracts. He said, now I told you, start with one. Start with one, Kathy. I'm like, yeah, but I'm making money, Robert. Come on. So of course I didn't listen. So the very next day, let's just put long story short, I lost $1,000. So, and that was because I didn't listen to the strategy was working, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I should have stuck with the paper trading, and I should have only purchased one contract and not 10. But it's hard because I'm looking at Thinkorswim. And when those numbers are coming up green, and when they're coming up like four-digit numbers are coming up in green, I'm like, okay, Robert, okay, I am gonna be a millionaire, and I'm like losing it. So I highly recommend the course. I highly recommend that you be patient, and I highly recommend that you take it slow. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you, Kathy. She's a student. Robert and Kathy are the two people on here that I see that are students.
Anybody have any other questions? We are pretty much at the hour mark. This is a good time to get your question asked. You'll see a hand icon at the bottom of the screen. Click on that. It'll bring you up to the queue. We're about to wrap this up, so this is your last chance to get your questions answered before we go off. So click on that icon. Go ahead, Double Elated.
Hey, how's everybody doing?
Doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I've been following you for a while now, and yeah, man, you inspired me in a different way.
Okay.
I haven't started the course yet because fortunately, yeah, like everybody else, I'm probably speaking for a lot of people. Like, I try to do it the cheap way and do it myself, and yeah, and you kind of led me down a rabbit hole, man, and I thank you for it because most traders would say I started backwards. A lot of people said I should have started with options, trading options, and then try futures and forex and etc. But I was looking for the cheapest route, and I went forex. So
Okay.
I started with forex trading, then I dipped and dabbed into futures, and like I said, I've been following you for a long time and trying to grasp the options thing, and it's still complex. And my question is, for somebody who's not financially at the point to where they can invest in the course at this moment, but still interested in your mentorship, what do you recommend, or what would you recommend, or what would you advise that person to continue to do?
Okay,
throughout their
good
journey?
questions. Good questions on that. Okay, because when I first started, I was like you too. I wanted to go the less expensive way.
Right.
What I would say do is go and watch all of my videos on YouTube that I talk about trading on. Okay, and then from there, go and watch other people's videos that talk about options on YouTube. You know, they have a lot of stuff that says options for beginners. You know, just get yourself familiar with as much of that as you can. That's it. I mean, do a lot of reading, do a lot of video watching. And just try to educate yourself as best as you can. If you get with a broker, a lot of times they have educational programs that they're kind of generic. But let me tell you this right quick. When I first started trading, I finally went to a class. I stood up in a seminar with about 500 people in it. And I told the guy this, and this kind of how, I don't know if you call this dumb or what, but I said, dude, I don't need you to tell me about all these other different things you got. I need two things for you to answer. What is the best strategy to trade, and which direction is the market going? You tell me them two things, and I can take it from there. And then I sat down, and he kind of smiled and laughed at me a little bit, and he proceeded to not answer my question. Okay, because who don't want to know the best strategy to trade? Who don't want to know which direction the market is going? Nobody knows 100% which way the market is going. Okay, wish they did. And then to figure out which strategy is best for you that works. This is what he told me. It's hard to tell you which is the best strategy because it depends on your personality. Well, I was so mad at that question, it made my head pop. But he's right. It does depend on which strategy for you. But that's not the approach that I take when I'm teaching. What I teach is the strategy that I like. Okay. And then I go around and start teaching the strategies that I like. And then either you like them or not like them, but you start learning how to trade them. And then as you learn more, then you have a little bit more knowledge to pick the ones that you like. But, you know, so if you just learn the ones I like, I'm going to start y'all very conservative, okay? You're going to make a little money. You may not like them. You may like them. But over the long haul, if you keep trading them, I think you'll really learn to love them. But just YouTube, man, that's the best way. It's like an encyclopedia right there.
Right. Yeah. YouTube University. Yes.
Yeah.
Sir, I know. But yeah, I say that to say, man, you know, with the well, one of the things that I've noticed, like, is everything everybody's been saying, especially your students, throughout my journey and learning, this is, man, it is very possible. These numbers that they are telling you guys, if you're unfamiliar with this trading thing, it is very possible. And yeah, I've seen it not only through demo accounts, but just through actual small, like I have small accounts, and I do a little risk, like little small trades on small accounts with Forex. Yeah. And yeah, man, the numbers, I could see it.
Oh yeah.
I could definitely
if you can see the big numbers, then you can definitely see the kind of numbers I'm talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, man. I'm very excited for this journey, man, and much gratitude for everything that you brothers bring to the table. Robert, Cortez, thank you. Everybody that stepped forward and gave their input and their side and perspective on this, I appreciate it as well. Thank you.
You're welcome, bro. You're welcome. And thank you for joining us this evening. Let me blow Cortez horn right quick, just for a little bit here. I first met Cortez when I got here to Mexico, and he the one talked me into doing this thing right here, because I was like, man, nobody want to hear me talk. You know, I ain't trying to put myself out there and let everybody hear me talk. I said, but if I do teach this, I can't do it for free, because I done paid a lot to go to these different seminars. You know, I done went to a lot of seminars, guys. Okay. And you know, I told you that soon as I got to the seminar, they start trying to sell you another class. Well, I didn't buy the class right then, but probably 6 months into it, I bought about another 2 or 3 more or 4 more classes. Okay. And each one of these classes was going for $2,000 to $5,000 each class. And I would drive all around Texas to go to these classes. It would be Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and Houston. Those were the places and Waco. Those are the places where I would go to these seminars. and most of the time, the main seminar, you signed up for it, and as long as they was in town, you could go to the seminar for free. I'm telling you, I went to these things over and over and over and over, and I wasn't getting it. Okay. And then one day it finally clicked, and I started to grasp a little bit of part of it. But in saying all that, going back to Cortez, this guy, he really talked me into doing this. And what it has done is gave me a community to talk about stock trading with. Okay. Because trading is a lonely game, guys. Okay. And for the style of trading that I was doing, it's really lonely because the people that I did know that traded, they would always come to me and ask me the questions. Okay. So it's nice for me. It really helps me to have an outlet when I'm talking on these classes. And it seems so funny because I still get nervous every other Thursday that I'm doing these. I still get nervous when I'm talking. I'm like, am I delivering this right? Can I explain this better or whatever? But it's been over 2 years now. It seems weird, but I'm getting better and better at this. But because of Cortez, he has allowed me to have a community of students to talk to and to share with. And now I'm sharing my life with some of them. So it's really been nice. And I just want to say thank you to you, Cortez.
Oh, man.
Sharing my life with you too, by the way.
Yes, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you very much. Yeah, man, me and Robert would be riding in the car, going somewhere, going to a bar, get some margaritas, eat some chicken wings. And all he talked about was this doggone trading. And I'm like, God, this guy. And it was a concept that I just didn't understand. I didn't understand any of the stuff he was talking about. And it was like, I don't invest, but I know I need to learn how to invest. And so he would just nonstop trading. I like, dude, you need to teach a course. You need to get online, talk about this stuff because clearly you're passionate about it and you just need to share it. And he was like, man, I'm a mechanic by trade. Nobody's going to listen to me. I'm like, dude, trust me. They will listen to you because you're them and they're you. They'll receive from you more than a polished guy in a suit and tie who work on Wall Street, And so he finally, jumped and took, leaped at it and, and the rest is history. And as he says, he's building a community. I remember when he started when we got the YouTube channel set up, he was like, man, I only got 10 subscribers. I only got 20 subscribers. And now you had almost at 1,000 now. Like he says, his community is growing. People are reaching out to him, doctors, professionals. And and it's just blowing his mind that, man, these people really want to learn from me, So, I mean, Robert has the goods. As his channel continues to grow, as his community continues to grow, and not just that, but when I look at the success that his students are having, I'm like, dude, you're the real deal. You know what I mean? So he certainly brings the value. He brings his A game, very patient. And so if this is something you want to learn how to do, this is your guy.
Yeah. I'm here for you guys.
All righty.
And I thank you so much for allowing us this time in your life and sharing it with us. Appreciate it.
Thank y'all for coming out. The website, I put some links in the comments section to go straight to the Academy page. For those of y'all that want to get signed up, as Robert mentioned, it includes a free telephone consultation. You get lifetime access to the trading course as well. You get access to 2 monthly classes as well. And, it's lifetime. It's yours. You pay once and it's yours. So go ahead and get signed up, slowlifetrading.com/academy. Again, the link is in the comment section and you'll be receiving an email shortly as well. Any final questions? Anything final to say before we shut it down?
Robert?
Mm-hmm.
See you tomorrow. Got to talk about that compound collar, buddy.
All righty.
All right. Thank you.
All righty.
Thanks, Cortez. Thanks,
You're
everybody.
welcome. Thank y'all. Y'all have
Thank
a
you,
great
guys.
night.
Thank you.
Thank
All right.
you. Bye-bye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Uh-huh.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good evening, everyone.
All
Good
righty.
night. Good night.